Denver 7 On Demand is brought to you by Ferguson and BAC Appliance Center, the best in bath, kitchen, and lighting for your home.
I'm Ann Trujillo with the latest from Denver 7. Stop killing us. These are the words of a community that's warned for months that tragedy awaited on Marion Street, and this week it came true. Earlier this summer, we told you about the concerns from cyclists. They begged for a barrier that separates their lane from passing drivers. Well, the city is working to make that happen, but their actions come too late for a woman hit and killed last night. Denver 7's Lance Hernandez reports.
So I looked and saw something underneath this dump truck being dragged along.
Ryan Dillon says he ran over and tried to get the driver to stop. That's when he and his neighbor Mark saw what he called terrible, terrible injuries.
We tore our shirts off and tried to rip them up and start some tourniquets and just comfort her and try to keep her conscious until the fire and paramedic could get there.
According to this probable cause statement, the driver of a dump truck, David Anton, was northbound on South Marion Street and attempting to make a right turn onto Bayard at about 20 miles an hour. He apparently failed to yield to a bicyclist who was traveling through the intersection in a marked bike lane. These messages are evidence of that crash. Another slain bicyclist where the collision began, and Stop Killing Us where it ended about 50 feet away.
That could have been me.
Joshua Garrity has been riding in that bike lane for about a month now. He said for the most part, he feels safe.
Except for some of the intersections, they kind of get a bit sketchy because the lines kind of disappear and then you don't know where the car's supposed to go or where the people are supposed to go.
The city has proposed adding barriers that would separate cars and bicycles, but that work is not slated to begin until next year at the earliest. The argument over that protected bike lane is raging on social media. One person tweeted, "Using this to further your goal to install protected bike lanes in, yes, an historically designated parkway is shameful." Another replying, "It can't come soon enough. And I don't want to hear more NIMBY hogwash that someone's interpretation of historic is more important than keeping people from dying."
That was Lance Hernandez reporting. Now, the driver of the truck did stay on scene and was cited for careless driving, resulting in death.
Meanwhile, Jim Matthews says he and his family will keep hanging on to the hope that Janelle is alive and will one day be found. We'll keep hanging on, he says, and will not give up.
That was an old news report, and tonight the body of Janelle Matthews has been found. She was only 12 years old when she disappeared from her Greeley neighborhood, and now here we are nearly 35 years later. Her remains have been uncovered at an oil and gas site in rural Weld County. Crews were excavating for a pipeline on Tuesday when they found remains. That site was 21 miles southeast of the home where a family friend and that friend's father dropped her off. That was in December of 1984. Investigators are saying very little about what the remains tell them about how Janelle died, and a suspect has never been named. Metro State University is taking no chances tonight after 3 staffers in the same part of the Auraria campus revealed they have cancer. 2 of those employees have breast cancer. A third has liver cancer. All were diagnosed within the last 6 months. And 2 years ago, another coworker died from lung cancer. Today, administrators stressed there is no evidence the West Classroom building is unsafe, but said testing is underway and they plan to share the results the moment they come in.
If we see that we think we have a sick building, I'll act just as if it were my son or my daughter in that building, and we will close the building immediately. It's terrifying. It's heartbreaking. And it's hard, I know, for the other faculty in the building who don't want to put their families through that.
The campus newspaper reports asbestos was found in that same building in 2010, but tests came back clean. The PE building was closed in 2016 and the locker rooms this past April for the same reason. Think it's hard to get into Rocky Mountain National Park now? Wait until next week. Resurfacing work is set to start Monday on Bear Lake Road and end on August 9th. Now, on most days, that will mean another 20 minutes of waiting. However, on August 7th and 8th, you can expect massive backups, so much so that the Park Service is asking you to get there extremely early. Our Colorado has become a destination for the dreamers and doers of space travel, and tonight, East meets West in the hopes of expanding how we explore the stars. Today, a Japanese delegation from PD Aerospace traveled to Adams County to talk about expanding the Colorado Air and Spaceport. The visit started at Bromley Farm, which was bought by 2 Japanese families back in the 40s and maintained by their descendants until 2006, when the land was purchased and preserved by the city of Brighton. Now, the goal is to eventually transport people and cargo into the upper levels of our atmosphere. Launch day is still at least 4 years away, and in the meantime, our state will cash in on the billions of dollars of revenue the space industry provides. Our Colorado is also built on family businesses like Brae Lighting, which has spent decades in Denver celebrating a lost art. While there is still demand for their services, they tell Denver 7's Liz Gilardi they are dealing with a simple problem affecting many longtime Coloradans. The rent is just too high.
This same style of light is in the White House.
Every light fixture, every lamp has a story.
Most of them are one of a kind.
And Chris Bossenberry knows the stories behind all of them.
I've been an electrician for over 30 years and always been in the lighting. I mean, I like looking at them and I like working on them and saving them.
3 years ago, when the owners of this store were ready to retire, he took it over with his wife, Kim. Brae Lighting embodies his experience and passion. They just remodeled the showroom.
Don't really want to move. It's a great space.
Chris says they have to move. The landlord is raising their rent. It was a tough decision.
The rent prices are in tune for this area of Denver. We just can't keep up with that without having to raise the prices, and we don't want to do that.
So they're relocating to the storefront in Edgewater and trying to make the best of it. It's a delicate job, moving hundreds of irreplaceable lights.
With the new space, we're actually going to build it to suit our needs, to make it, where we can hang more lighting on the walls.
Longtime customers like Kitty just found out when she stopped in to get this lamp repaired.
Hello.
I'm just here to pick up my lamp. Nice name again? Koch.
She says she'll visit the new store, but it's not as close.
I will. Yeah, because I know the quality. I know they're a great operation.
Even though they won't be in this neighborhood, Brae Lighting is keeping the name because just like these lights have their own history, the name is part of theirs.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving? Probably around September. I'm still working on building the other space out, so once I get it done.
Liz Gilardi.
I won't forget about you.
Yeah, thank you.
Denver 7.
This has been your Denver 7 On Demand update. Thank you so much for joining us, and check back here later tonight for another update. And download the Denver 7 app for breaking news and alerts. I'm Ann Trujillo.